Welcome, Giants, to the latest edition of I Am Giant podcast. And I'm joined today by Gary McCafferty, a young man I met while working in HMP Perth a good few years ago when he came in to do a couple of jail sentences. Engaged with Gary quite a lot, doing different programs, and eventually ended up coming to Randy's Man Club session and becoming a big, massive part of the recovery movement within HMP Perth. He shares his story of how he got into that life of addiction growing up. And then got the jail at 28. There are a few technical issues that for some reason my internet was playing up and some of the sound wasn't recorded, but all the Gary's wisdom and his story is all there for you to listen to, and it has just that conversation has impacted me quite a lot already, so hopefully I'll have the same impact on you. And if you want to leave us a wee feedback at the end, then please just drop us a note in the comment section, and or get in touch, which will all be on the show notes at the end. So enjoy the episode. Apologies for the broken sound in certain bits of my speaking and stuff like that, but I'm sure you'll agree it's a really good. I am Giant, and we're joined today by a guy that I've known for quite a few years, which I'm sure we'll get into how we met and how our paths crossed, Gary McCafferty. So thanks for joining us, Gary. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much for the invite, Art. Appreciate it.
No, it's good. As we were talking there just before, you're on my list to get in. So the universe has conspired to get you on the day. So looking forward to our conversation. So just a wee bit about the podcast. We just get people on to talk about their life stories and just how different things have impacted their memory. And obviously our paths have crossed a few times over the years, which I'm sure we'll talk a bit later on. But one of the biggest reasons that I reached out to you, you actually celebrated your 4-year recovery the other day on Facebook and put it, I seen it on and got in touch with you and we got you on the podcast. So just for me, I'm super honoured and humbled for you to join me today, because I'm honestly like the journey you've had has just been something else. So hopefully we'll talk a wee bit about that. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the invite. And the day was, to some people, it might not be a big day because some people think it's a choice to end up in that world. But to me, as you can, at one point I couldn't stay clean and sober for 4 hours. Never mind 1,480 days. Know that I'm counting much. You know what I mean?
No, but it's a massive achievement, and you should be super proud of yourself, mate. So, I know, yeah. So tell us a wee bit about Gary. Just where were you born? Where did you grow up? How did you get to where you are today?
So I was born in Scotland, which is quite strange when you hear my accent. I was actually born in England, but it was just, again, the universe transpired. My dad had a job interview, my mum went down with him, and she went into labour a couple of weeks early. But I was brought up all my life, and always have been and always will be, in Dundee. For the first part of it, I stayed in the Whitfield end of Dundee, and then moved to the Hulton when I was maybe 14. And I think when I look back at it, that's probably where everything started to go wrong. Because if people ken Dundee and ken what the Hulton was like back in the back end of the 90s, that wasn't to me, it was a great place to grow up. But when I look back now, life was a mess. Life was a bit chaotic. I was brought up in a family. Both my parents were addicts. My dad was an alcoholic. My mum was a drug addict. So the normal way of life wasn't a role model to me growing up. And I witnessed some, through my parents and through the life that I lived, I witnessed some horrific things growing up. And I didn't witness this in, like, visually. I witnessed it like it was the noise. I actually heard one of my pals being killed basically right outside my house. And just other things, just the way everything was, the people that were round about us. To me at the time, I thought that was normal, but it clearly wasn't it. Which, if anybody understands the impact that the experiences that you have growing up affect the rest of your life, I think that's maybe how it ended up down the path that it ended up. I was, for a period of my life, I was actually quite sensible. I went out at 16, 17, I went away and got a job and was the only one of my friends, like my major friend group, that actually had a job. The rest of my pals were in and out the jail for they were 16-year-old. I was, it's no something to brag about, but it's sort of as if you lived the life I lived. I didn't actually get to jail till I was 28, which is quite an achievement considering where I was brought up and the guys that hung about me that you ken quite a lot of them are. You know what I mean? So, but we had that job and all my pals doing what they were doing. I always felt like I was missing out on things because I would come home from work and it would be stories and people having a laugh and that. And it was that old denial thing. Oh, it'll never happen to me. I'll never end up with addiction problems or nothing. I thought I could just try drugs once. I could just try heroin once and I'll be brand new. And it did. Coming home from work, it went from once a week to before I knew it, I had a habit 6, 7 months later. And I actually got up to go to work every day and felt like I had the card because I still didn't understand that I had an addiction. I didn't realise the impact it was having and that I was doing it every day. And I got up to go to work every day and it was actually my wee brother. Heard us get up. And I actually thought I had the card, so just went, I'm not going to work today. And my wee brother comes through maybe an hour later and says, Gary, how you not working? I went, I've got the card. And he went, no, you've not. You've got a habit, Gary. And I went, shut up, eh? And it's that denial thing that'll never happen to me. I had a job. I had a car sitting outside the house. I was able to do what I wanted. And he went to his room. And he come back. He come through with a bag of heroin and went, smoke that. You'll be brand new in 10 minutes, Gary. And sure as anything. And if anybody that understands addiction or understands the psychology of a person, the way you think and feel impacts on the way you act. So before I admit that I've got an addiction, I didn't act like an addict because I didn't admit to myself. The minute I actually realise that I've got an addiction, that mindset changes. And then I actually started to act like an addict. And give or take another year, I went through here and basically the world at my feet to having absolutely nothing. I'd lost my job, I'd lost my girlfriend, I'd sold my car, I'd sold everything that I'd ever bought myself. And I was sitting in my room every day thinking, where did everything go wrong? But because of the life experience I had, I only knew outside working one other way to live my life, and it was to go and get involved in anything that my pals were doing, which sort of drove us down a darker path than I was already on. And it's a hard life to. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And again, it's so this is no some idea. It's sort of like it's like meeting. This is a meeting conversation. So it's like NA and A. They kind of like it's you're an addict, and if somebody comes in and they've maybe had a lapse or something, that's but it's the addict and it's kind of like and it's sometimes to me, and this is just my opinion. I don't think everybody agrees with this. I think that's a bit of a cop out because if you put it in that way, I am still an addict, but I didn't think like that anymore. Come what I mean? But I've got, on you go. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, I get that. I get that. Yeah, yeah, hmm, yeah, exactly. Or Big Ek as we called you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Hmm. Yeah, 100%. It's like I was actually having this conversation with somebody last night. And so I've got like loads of pals that are like really, really close to us and really support us and really push us to be the best person that I could. And it's any of these friends that have just come into this circle and they asked me last night to say, Gary, do you ever think about taking drugs? And I said, of course I do. That thought's always in my head. That person that I used to be. Uh, Kind of like, and the easiest, like, so I differentiate me as two different people. Like, I'm Gary now, but Gary the addict's always inside me, like kicking at that cage inside me. And of course, he forces that thought into my head sometimes. Oh, look, we could just go and get mad with it today. But like you said, Alec, Ken, it's one of them sayings. I think A and NA use it quite a lot. One's too many and a thousand's never enough. Ken, like for where I am just now, one is too many. But the minute I hear that one, a thousand never becomes enough. And where I was at my worst, that took 20 years to get there. If I started again now, I'd be back there in 6 months. Ken, that's how strong the addiction gets inside you. Yeah, yeah. No, exactly. No. Yeah, yeah. 28, 28, the very first time we got to jail. Probably. But it wasn't the very first time I got to jail. It wasn't for very long. I only actually got 20 days, so I was only in there for 10 days. But back then, that was like the worst 10 days of my life, even though it was only 10 days. And considering the length of time that I just spent there and that stint I was in there, that was like the worst 10 days of my life. But on one hand, it was it was a bad experience in so many ways because it was one, it was 10 days in the jail, but two, I'd always been scared to get to jail. Once you've been in the jail once, you realise the jail's nowhere near as bad as you think it's going to be. So then, with the life I was living, the thought of the jail doesn't stop you from committing crime or doing the things that you want to do. Because it's no, Alec, you ken yourself, the jail's no much. It is because you lost your freedom, your liberty, and like you can't see your family and that. But the jail itself's no actually a consequence. Most people aren't scared to get in the jail anymore if they've been in the jail before, which is what happened with me. I realised that it was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Hmm. Exactly. 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 Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. True. Right. So, Ken, what Alec? I think I'm one of the people that. Right. So I didn't. I'm no glad that hundreds of thousands of people dead because of COVID or nothing. I'm one of the few people that is grateful for COVID, because that's when I was able to sort myself out. Because you can yourself when the doors are open, and if you've got your own problems, you're not just dealing with your own problems. You're dealing with, if you're on a landing, there's 80 guys on that landing. So you're dealing with another 78 and 79 sets of problems. Whereas during COVID, you didn't have that problem. I was at that point in my head where I wanted to make the changes to better my life. And COVID just seemed to happen. And then all of a sudden, as you say, we were locked up for 23 hours a day, most days,
Yeah,
which gave me
yeah. Well,
all the time in the world just to concentrate on Gary and no concentrate on anybody else.
and that's
And I was
massive
able,
because obviously
yeah, exactly.
leading up to COVID, the legal highs that were in the jail were absolutely horrendous. It was just
I
it was
know,
absolutely flooded with the stuff,
I
and there
know.
was blue lights everywhere. So I think so even during COVID, it got the time of yourself got less because you were only
Yeah,
getting out to pick up your meals, go for a shower, phone home. And in the early days, we weren't even getting exercise, were you? Because we just didn't have space in the regime to get you out for 20 minutes in fresh air, which we eventually
no,
got. But
well,
early days, it
see,
was tough.
yeah, well, see, I was actually in shots at the time, and shots were on the ball. Shots like so. The minute lockdown happened, within 3 days, we were out for like 2 full hours at a time. No 2 full hours. So it changed a bit. So one day you were out for 2 half hours in the morning and a full hour in the
Mm.
afternoon, and then the next day it was a full hour in the morning and 2 half hours in the afternoon. But the way it was done, it was so if you think a section in the hall, so if you tap one side of that section, they would let out half of them at a
Mm.
time. So like one half,
Yeah.
the next half, the next half, and the next half. And sometimes the reason it was done an hour and 2 half hours, because then with your hour, that's when people were outside. So the 2 half hours, they were able to get two sides, two halves of one side out within the hour that one full side were outside. And then by the time we come back
Yeah.
and everybody else was locked up. So short, I think Shots is different as well because it's full of lifers and long term prisoners. So I think they had a different outlook on you can't lock guys that are doing 35 year up for 23 years at a time and expect them not to go off their head because some of the guys up there have no got nothing to lose. So I think shots have got a different view on the rules they were putting in place and how they were going to manage and getting people out and about and that. You know what I mean? But you're right.
It certainly
You
sounds
can like,
a wee bit better than Perth anyway, 'cause it was quite chaotic in
yeah,
Perth.
yeah. So I was speaking to any of your old classmen, Graham, and that's he says that he went, Gary, it was murder up there to start with. He went when
Aye. Well,
lockdown first
it
happened,
was.
that was hard work.
And it was tough on the staff as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously,
Yeah,
used to running about shorts and t-shirt in the gym, and then all of a sudden we're back in the halls in a white shirt, and it was tough for us. Do you know what I mean? Having to deal with that, and obviously we
yeah,
were locked up as well. When we got home, we weren't allowed to go out, so we knew what that restriction of freedom was like across the
yeah,
whole of the UK. So it gives
yeah, yeah,
people a better understanding. So obviously. COVID comes and you start spending time on Gary and looking after yourself and saying no, basically, because
yeah,
I know how rife the access to drugs in jail is very, very easy and probably easier than it is on the street sometimes.
yeah.
And so, what did you do to then start your recovery? What steps did you take from there?
Well, I started reading quite a lot, and not just reading endless books on nothing. It was like, so it was self-help books and psychology books. So I was able to, one, understand just how the brain works, but then the self-help books like The Secret, The Chimp Paradox and that, to understand how Gary worked as a person, to understand
Mm.
of what led me to making certain decisions in my life and the impact that it allowed other people to have on my life. Because I now realise other people shouldn't really have an impact on my life. I can only control me. I can't control what goes on round about me. The world will continue regardless of what goes on in my head. People will do what they want, this, that, and the next thing. So once I was able to truly understand that the only thing in the world that I can control is me and how I internalise and deal with things in my head, decisions to say no and distance myself with certain people and keep myself out of certain conversations and certain things that were going on, it become a lot easier. Yes, it was hard to start with, but it's like everything else. A professional football player only gets to be a professional by practicing every day, and that's how I started today. Started to say no, to keep myself out of certain situations, to keep reading, to keep learning about myself. And the more that I done that, I realised that the easier the decisions became to make, the quicker the come to us. Kind of like, so if somebody, right at the very start, if somebody says, Gary, want a couple of valleys, I'd have an internal argument for 10 minutes. Whereas nowadays, no comes right. Before they've even finished that sentence, I'm already registered no in my head, and it's halfway out my mouth. And but I say to people all the time, just because I've stopped taking drugs doesn't mean my life's any easier. My life's actually harder to deal with now. I'm just better equipped to deal with other. But that's how I started. Learning about myself, locked in a cell.
Because you're actually dealing with it as well, though, aren't you? Rather than just, because I know a lot of guys used to get off their just to pass the time. Do you know what I mean? So they didn't have to think about the consequences of actually doing time in the jail. So I think life as a grown up is difficult, and we've always got hard choices to make. And that is sort of thing I always say to my girls. I hate being an adult. I really do, because I don't get to do the fun stuff I would like to do, but I do. But it gets harder, and it's something you said that, like, obviously I've read some of the books that you've read. I've got Chimp Paradox there. It's in my pile to read, which I've not read yet. But it's controlling the controllables. There's something I teach to my guys all the time, whether they're working for me or coming through the door, Andy's Man Club. Control what you can control, and everything else, it doesn't matter, because everyone else has got their own shit dealing with. Right? You're driving down the road and someone's road raging at you because they think that you're in the way or going too slow or whatever else. Let them rage. It doesn't affect you. They've obviously dealing with stuff that they're dealing with, and tend.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. That's all right. And it's like, so it's like some of the things I do. So like, I've volunteered quite a lot in places that work with people that have got or are still living with the same kind of problems that I used to hate. And can I still get asked, do you want this and do you want that? And people say, Gary, does that no annoy you? And I say, no, because I used to be like that. I understand that mindset. And they say, but that annoys me. And I say, but it doesn't annoy me. I can't control what they're doing. I can't control the way they think. And if they're going to offer me something, the only thing I control in that variable is the answer I give and how I conduct myself every day. You know what I mean? And some people find it strange, and some people find only controlling themselves one of the hardest things to do. But see, once you realise you can't actually control nothing else, controlling yourself becomes so easy. But it's also so hard at the same time. Because as you say, that person's still inside me. Of course, there's days I wake up and think, I want to go and get absolutely wasted today. I didn't do it. I go back to the gym instead. You know what I mean? Because that's, as we were talking about at the start, you end up with different kinds of addiction. Like coffee, this, that, and the next thing. My new addiction is I look after myself like properly. Watch what I eat, go to the gym, drink enough water, take proper supplements, fast way. I fast way like 8 o'clock at night to 12 o'clock in the afternoon every single day. And people say, but Gary, you didn't need to lose weight. And I say, it's not to lose weight. That's a mental aspect. That's a challenge that I put in front of myself every day, because the commitment and dedication that I put into stopping using drugs I've learned how to put that commitment and dedication into every other aspect of my life, to be disciplined in something enough to the to the point it's like putting a pair of socks on in the morning. Kind of, you didn't think about putting socks on in the morning. You just got up and did it. I got up and fast and drink the right water and go to the gym, and it's no, I didn't even need to think about it anymore. It's just, it's natural now. And it's a different way of living. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. 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 Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Hmm. And that's the thing that I'm most proud of, because it was something that me and the team in there looked into. To start with, we thought that was the first person in Scotland to do that. But when we looked into it, I was the first person in Britain to be allowed to leave a prison to go to an open prison, but then be invited back in on an actual work placement as part of the team that worked in there. And it's, to this day, my recovery is the thing that I'm proudest of the most. But when right after that is being invited back into Perth to be able to work as part of the team. Definitely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I know. Definitely. And see on one hand, I think when I look back, that's where my mindset actually started to change, was going down to Andy's Man Club and being in. Fair enough, you were in the jail, but you weren't in the jail, if you can what I mean. Because you and Adam, you weren't, when you come in, you weren't Alec and Adam, the prison officers. You were just Alec and Adam. Kind of with that label. Fair enough, you still had like your PT gear and that on, but you're taking your belts and that and up, and they were out the way, so you couldn't see that. So it changed the mindset, and it was a different conversation. It was an honest conversation. And some of the conversations that were had in them rooms, guys would never have had them conversations up on a hall. And I think that once you can learn to be honest, we even just a certain group of your peers, it helps you be a lot more honest with yourself, which then helps when you, as I say, when you get to that point where you can learn to control just what goes on with you, it's easier to make the right decisions because you're being honest with yourself about what's actually going on, and you're no kidding yourself on. Yeah, definitely. Exactly. Yeah. And it's no that. So on you go. If you if you understand, if you care enough about the prison system, which you obviously will, Perth's the most forward-facing recovery-focused jail in Scotland. So, and I used to say that to the guys when I was on my placement. If you are actually serious about your recovery, you've got everything within this jail to give you the best platform to build. And they used to say, but this, that, and the next thing. And I used to say, listen, I'm like living proof of it. If you use what's available to you, you can move forward in life. Get yourself out of here. And I still get invited. I was in Perth 7 weeks ago. I just invited back in. The governor invited us back in. I've been so Faye, I got on parole in November. I've been in Faye then. I've been in Shorts, Perth, and I was in Castle Huntley 2 weeks ago. And it just shows you what you can do if you're honest with yourself and you're committed enough. Yeah. And it's a hard journey, but yes, as the book The Secret says, see it and you could see it. If you could see it, you could achieve it. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I still saw there was a company coming to Perth called Recovery Coaching Scotland. I do quite a bit with them. They're wanting to put us through their coaching academy to eventually go on and work with them. I volunteer, as I said, I volunteer quite a lot in Dundee. I volunteer in the steeple with like Mark Nelson and Kirsty, and with them every week. I help out at soup kitchens and things like that. Just I keep myself busy. I go to the gym. I still play football. Actually, I play for the football team. Where pre-season starts again next week. So I keep myself busy, and doors are open in the front of us all the time. But because I've just moved, I'm no one to put hay in a job on top of all that because, as people understand, when you've just moved and moved into a flat, especially if you've had the kind of past that I've had, I've never had to look after myself, whether that be because I've had addiction issues and just couldn't, or I just spent 6 years in prison. You know what I mean? Where every single thing gets done for you. I need to learn to be Gary that looks after himself and cooks for himself and cleans for himself and this, that, and the next thing before I then go and start a job. But I've had 4 job offers where I've been out and I've just no been in the position to start them. But the one we recovery coach in Scotland, that's always going to be there. Now the steeple, I had to get like a basic PVG done, so it was just to flag up. I only flagged up one thing. It just flagged up what I was in for there. But I've then snapshotted the certificate and sent it on to Recovery Coach in Scotland because they're wanting to start my enhanced PVG. Because part of the job that I would have with them, I'll require us to go back into prisons to teach people how to self-coach themselves through recovery. No, no. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. 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 No, absolutely not. Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And Ken, it's I understand that something that most people don't really understand. Don't try and run before you could walk properly. You know what I mean? As I say, I need to learn to be this version of Gary outside the prison wall without an addiction issue. And some people think, oh, but you've been out for 8 months. And I say 8 months no long if you consider I had an addiction for 20 years. Can 8 months a drop in the ocean. Can I'll get to maybe this time next year and then start putting things in place to get myself into a proper job. Yeah, 100%, 100%. No, I didn't. And yeah, Exactly. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. I know. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. No. No.
Guys thriving. It really is.
Exactly. And again, it's what some people going to realise is, regardless if you're in the jail or you're out in the community, this, that, and the next thing, and this is something I truly believe in. People are brought into your life for a reason. You're put in certain situations for a reason, and it's up to you to notice that reason. So, am I glad that what happened to lead me to being in the jail? No. Am I glad I ended up in the jail? 100%. Without me ending up in the jail there, I would not be sitting here the person that I am today. Okay, and I truly believe that. People say to me, but Gary, you done like 6 years, and I said, none of that matters. Without that 6 year took away from the chaos and the madness that I was involved in and around Dundee. And fair enough, I was still surrounded by some of them people to an extent. But once I went to water shots, nobody knew me in shots. I was then able to
Yeah.
be who I wanted to be and know who everybody else expected us to be. And without that time away, I probably, no even know just sitting here talking to you, I probably know here at all, I probably did. Come on, I mean, if I look at the way the world is and the way Dundee is and the way the drug scene is, and me knowing me, the person that I was back then, and my tendency to be all in or nothing. So it was if there was £100 worth of drugs sitting there, I'd want to take a lot of it. So I'd probably no be sitting here today. So I'm one of the few people that's probably grateful for serving a prison sentence.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here as well, mate. And I think it's something we ask it quite a lot over the years in Andy's Man Club. Like, if you could go back 5 years or go back to your 18-year-old self and tell him something, what would you tell him? And I would just be like, nothing's going to change for me. I wouldn't change anything
No,
because
no,
I wouldn't be
no.
the version of Alex that's sitting here. And I'm
Yeah,
going to be a different version of Alex when I finish this conversation with Gary because of what Gary said has impacted
yeah,
me and
yeah.
changed me. And that's how we go along. Every breath you take, to quote the police song, you change, you know what I mean? Your mind changes, your body
Exactly.
changes, and we're constantly evolving.
No, exactly. No. And a mistake's only a mistake if you didn't learn from it. And if you learn from it, it's then no mistake. It's actually a lesson. It's actually just a lesson. And I've learned so many lessons throughout my life that have then led me to a point where I now look at the world different. I look at myself different. I think different. I talk differently. I I hold myself differently. I hold myself more accountable. I'm more responsible for my actions in life. Instead of sitting the person that I used to be, it's their fault and it's his fault and he stuck us in this, that, and the next thing. No, I made certain decisions throughout my life that constantly kept altering my path. And that was probably all supposed to happen. And you're right, if I was allowed to go back in time, would I change anything? Absolutely no. I actually enjoy the person that I am sitting here today. I respect myself, I look after myself, and I actually love the life that I've got in front of us now. And every single person I've encountered throughout my life helped continually alter my path. And that counts for even being in prison. The staff, the people that were round about us, they continually, and it'll always happen. Then you might feel yourself going off your path a wee bit and you'll just bump into somebody or you'll hear something. It might not even be a person, it might be sitting watching the TV. I get that sitting watching the TV, I hear something, or sitting flicking through TikTok or something. You just read something and it continually resets everything, which keeps driving you forward. And it's mad. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciated that. That is just really appreciated. Nah, I've probably been complicated because life's fucking complicated. And it's true, get it? And it's no even that it just comes on. I could get up a day, like I've got YouTube on in the background, and sometimes I'll just get up and put that on, or I'll put it on my phone or something, because some people think life's no complicated. Life's really complicated, really, really complicated. And it's just one of them songs that I didn't even bother if there's people about. I'll turn that up, sing it for the top of my lungs. It's in my shower songs a lot. Come on, I mean, what else could I say? Yeah, yes. Every Monday. Every Monday and Thursday. Thanks for the invite, Alec. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Cheers. See you later. All right. Yeah, bye. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. A wee bit. That's all right. I think Mark was talking, like, so, me and Mark have been talking about that. Me and Mark are going to do a podcast about, like, just a one-off, just about our journey. Because, like, me and Mark, so me and Mark used to sit together now. Okay, and, like, it's, when you look at the two of our journeys, it's actually quite mad. Because me and Mark are sort of had the same journey and are on the same journey, which is quite a strange thing. So we were thinking about doing a podcast. Here we go. Hmm? So because me and Mark's like journeys are like near enough identical, okay, and we sat together back in the day and that. So me and Mark are thinking about doing a podcast just about their journey yourself. Yeah, yeah. That's Mark for you, though. No, no, definitely not. Likes his food too much. Not a problem, buddy. Thank you, Alec. Thank you. Same to yourself. Enjoy your podcast. Not a problem. Thank you, Alec. Bye, buddy.